Yep, I got more on Flynn, and we're going to talk especially about the unmasking, and also Jim Jordan sends a letter to Pompeo, so we'll talk about that too. Stick with me, folks. I'll be back in a minute. Hey everybody, this is Deb with Truthfication Chronicles, and we've got a lot to go over, so let's get going. The first thing is I wanted to share this with you. This is from our great POTUS. He says, "Thank you to all my great keyboard warriors. You are better and far more brilliant than anyone on Madison Avenue ad agencies. There's nobody like you. You can't say that's not a tip of the hat to the researchers on the board and all the meme artists, because that's exactly what he's talking about here. Now, if you go down, there are some good ones, that you want to look at, but there's a lot of people that are talking garbage, which is what they do. And so I thought I'd share this with you. I'll leave the link down below to it so you can put your 2 cents in with. But this one in particular, this is one by Benny Johnson, and I wanted to show you this. I've got the sound off just so I don't get any music copyright strikes or anything on that, but I didn't want to show it to you because I think you'll appreciate this. Boom. Yep, the Obamagate is going to take him out, I think. So that's what I've got on that one. Again, I'll put the link down below if you want to share that. I think it's great if you have Twitter. That'd be a good one to pass around. And then, of course, somewhere else down the line under the comments under Trump's post was this one. Who would you vote for if today was election day? And you can see here it's 77.2% Trump. And that's only out of 57 votes. So there's not much. There's 22 hours left. I don't know when this will go up. I'm recording this on Thursday night. So if you still have a little bit of time left and you have Twitter, you can vote on it. But I want to show you what it looked like when I first saw it. So it has changed a little bit. At 18 votes, it was 44.4% for Trump and 55.6% for Obama. I think that's what this person probably thought was going to happen, or even more Obama, and I think they're being surprised. So anyway, if you get a chance, go in and get this one and vote, because I think we need to send a message that we're here, and there's a lot of us. So I wanted to show you this right here, just the first few seconds of it, and I'll leave the link down below so you can watch the whole thing, but here we go.
Let's bring in former South Carolina Congressman Trey Gowdy. He is the former chairman of the House Oversight Committee and a Fox News contributor. We just saw you there in that line of questioning, Trey, asking what you asked then, hearing the answers that you heard then, and knowing what you know now. What conclusions are you able to draw?
That we need some serious reforms to our surveillance programs. If you can have this number of people request that an American citizen's name be unmasked. I mean, that's a really big deal. I mean, we have these surveillance programs that allow collection on American citizens. You're supposed to safeguard their identity. But Sandra, it's not just Michael Flynn. There was an unmasking request made the morning of the inauguration. The morning of the inauguration, President Trump's family members' names were unmasked. So that needs to be reformed. But you also have a really nice witness list to start investigating the leak of classified information. And I'd be curious how many people on this unmasking list have been interviewed by the FBI over the leak.
Okay, I'll leave it so you can see the rest. This is in an article by the Conservative Treehouse here, Sundance, I believe, yes. And so, yeah, I thought that was really pretty incredible. The Trump family was unmasked during Inauguration Day surveillance reports. Can you believe that? I mean, on Inauguration Day, first of all, that's enough of jaw-dropping, but that they unmasked the first family. That's just incredible. So I'm going to leave this. It's a good article, and it's just kind of stunning. And then I wanted to share this with you. I want to thank Patrick Strickland here, because he's the one that put it down in the comments for me and mentioned it. I try to see a lot of things, and I like watching Bongino, but there's just so many hours in the day, and I don't always get to his episodes. But this one was very good. It was the 1250 here, and I'll leave the link down below. Just a reminder to you, If you go here and then you click on the playback speed, you can change it and make it go faster. And like for my videos, I am not offended whatsoever if you do this and put me on double speed or something, because, you know, if you can listen faster, go ahead and do it, because it gives you more time in the day. Essentially, you can watch more videos that way. Again, I'm not offended. In fact, I do it all the time to videos. And as you can see, I was doing 1.25 on this one. He does talk kind of fast, so I can't do too fast on his. But like when President Trump is talking, a lot of times I can do double speed, or at least 1.5 on those. So it all depends on who's speaking and how fast they go. But, you know, save yourself some time. Anyway, this is a very good episode. And essentially, he lays down the case for something that I've been saying kind of for a long time, is that I think there was a FISA for Flynn. And, you know, if not, I mean, there's some indication, you're going to see that in just a minute, that maybe, you know, they didn't think there was one. The IG didn't think so. But it just kind of fits that some of the comments, especially there was a hearing where Sally Yates and James Clapper were at a hearing in front of one of the congressional committees, and they were asked about Flynn being unmasked. And they both just had really weird reactions to it. So I just think, and he has that clip in here, so I'm not going to repeat it, but I highly recommend you watch this one. It was very informative, and of course, you know, he has the expertise of being in law enforcement, and specifically he was in the Secret Service, so he understands how these things should be put together and what the procedures are and how they did not follow the procedures at all. So I'll leave the link to that one down below, and don't forget, speed them up if you need to. It's okay. Anyway, this one is a good thread by Kimberley Strassel, and she talks about how they were done. A key question in the Flynn unmaskings is how they were done and whether he was the victim of a sort of reverse targeting. Remember, we eavesdrop on foreigners who sometimes talk to Americans. We mask the U.S. names to protect U.S. privacy. And then she says, Intel professionals normally unmask in order to better understand an Intel situation. But given the huge number of Flynn unmaskings, question is whether FBI political people were purposely combining transcripts, looking specifically for Flynn conversations as part of investigation. After all, it wouldn't be that hard to make educated guess that it was Flynn on the line on the basis of who he was calling and words in the transcripts, especially during transition. There would seem a big difference between A, an official being alarmed or confused by a situation and so unmasking and just happening to discover it was Flynn, and B, officials unmasking every call they assume is Flynn's in order to keep tabs, have a record, build a file. The latter would be a form of surveillance, and it would be outrageous. Some FBI defenders will say, well, of course that was legit. The FBI had a counterintelligence probe on Flynn. It was doing its duty, but that would be total BS. We know from the IG that the FBI did not, quote, seriously consider getting a FISA on Flynn. It knew it didn't have anything near the probable cause necessary to get such a warrant. And if you lack the goods to get a real warrant, you don't just get to go eavesdropping by other means. So I thought that was an interesting take there on the situation. And then here's one by Tom Cotton that goes more into the Sullivan situation. He says, why is Judge Sullivan making up new rules to railroad General Flynn? We're all supposed to be equal in the eyes of the law. And he says, a plea must be knowing and intelligent, but because the government withheld exculpatory evidence, Flynn's plea was neither. Now, Judge Sullivan wants to have partisan hacks explore whether Flynn should be charged with perjury or entering the plea in the first place, which happens to be the charge that Barack Obama discussed on his, quote, leaked, quote, private call. ACLU, where are you on this? Surely a nonpartisan organization devoted to preserving civil liberties, ha ha ha, has concerns about what is happening to General Flynn. Someone needs to tell Judge Sullivan that Article 3 doesn't give him prosecutorial powers. Sorry, Barack Obama, you're wrong. AG Barr isn't undermining the rule of law. Judge Sullivan is. So I thought that was a really good thread by Tom Cotton there. And what's interesting over here, it always tells when you tag somebody, it tells their bio here. Flynn added this. At least I don't remember this being there before. Isaiah 6:8. Maybe it was. Maybe I just have spaced it or whatever. But this is Isaiah 6:8. When I heard the voice of the Lord saying, "Whom shall I send, and who will go for us?" And I said, "Here am I, send me." So Flynn has definitely stepped up to the plate to be the person to kind of take point on this. Anyway, I want to go on. This is a thread by Kimberley Strassel that I thought was really good. Here's an interesting ruling from one former Judge John Gleeson, who is the guy Sullivan just appointed to oppose the motion to withdraw Flynn's case. It's from this case right here, United States v. HSBC Bank USA in 2013. The government has near absolute power to extinguish a case that it has brought. He then goes to quote U.S. v. Pimentel. A court is generally required to grant a prosecutor's Rule 48A motion unless dismissal is, quote, clearly contrary to manifest public interest. Gleeson, by his own standards, should have turned down this job. Better yet, he should have advised Judge Sullivan as to how inappropriate these moves are. So again, that was another one by Kimberley Strassel I thought was really good, and I wanted to share that with you too. Well, speaking of the case, if you remember, Judge Sullivan gave a minute order that directed Covington and Burling to come together with Sidney Powell and to talk about and discuss this issue where they did not want to even search their records for more exculpatory evidence for Flynn, and that they were very reluctant on that. So this is just saying, yeah, they will be there. So that should be interesting. I'm not sure what'll come from that, but they do need to answer to it, because why did they not do more research? I mean, they had the documents, but they didn't want to turn them over to Sidney. Why? That would seem to be really contrary to being in the best interests of the client. So I'm not sure why. Just remember that Eric Holder works at Covington and Burling, and also, which one? Trisha Anderson, which was one of the lawyers from the FBI that got fired. So that's where she's working now too. Ooh. And then Jim Jordan has sent this letter to Secretary Pompeo because he's wanting some documents for Hunter Biden and Burisma Holdings, especially now that we have these transcripts that have been released. So he is, at this time, the ranking member of the House Judiciary Committee. Well, Jerry Nadler's not going to go for this. He's not going to ask for him. But in his position, I believe that Jim Jordan is perfectly fine asking, and who knows, maybe he'll get him now. May 14th is when he made this. That's when I'm recording this. And he basically states the issue that he wants to have some of these documents about Burisma Holdings and its founder, Zlochevsky, and that he goes through the background of it and how it connects with Joe Biden's son, former Secretary John Kerry's stepson, Christopher Hines, and also Devin Archer. And so it deals with that. But here's what he says basically. During the House Democrats' partisan impeachment inquiry in late 2019, several State Department officials described how they raised concerns during the Obama-Biden administration about Hunter Biden's role with Burisma. Deputy Assistant Secretary George Kent testified that Burisma's, quote, reputation in the industry is a company that throws elbows and uses political strings. Kent testified that he raised concerns directly to Vice President Biden's office about Hunter Biden's role on Burisma. Ambassador Marie Yovanovitch testified that the Obama-Biden administration actually prepared her to answer questions about Hunter Biden's relationship with Burisma as part of her Senate confirmation process in 2016. When asked about her awareness of the criminal investigation into Burisma, Ambassador Yovanovitch testified that she did not know very much about the subject and that quote, Burisma wasn't a big issue when she arrived in Kiev. And then he goes on, he talks about these documents, and the documents released pursuant to FOIA provide additional details about the Obama-Biden administration's actions toward Burisma. For instance, on December 29, 2016, U.S. Embassy staff in Ukraine emailed Ambassador Yovanovitch a news article about Burisma's political bribes and flagged for her that Hunter Biden sat on its board. Kind of interesting. Wasn't that the same day as the Flynn Kislyak call? I believe it was. The embassy's deputy economic counselor confirmed to Ambassador Yovanovitch that nefarious allegations about Burisma in the article were true, telling her, quote, "You can't make this stuff up." On September 15, 2016, Burisma's attorneys at Kravitz, Swain, and Moore in New York City sent a letter to Ambassador Yovanovitch informing her that Ukrainian Prosecutor General Yuri Lutsenko was dropping the corruption investigation into Burisma. Within 7 days of the letter from Kravitz, Swain, and Moore, at Kent's request, Ambassador Yovanovitch received a briefing on September 21, 2016 about Slovchevsky, Burisma, Kravitz, and image rehab campaigns, and the past crimes surrounding Burisma and Zolochevsky. Ambassador Yovanovitch testified during her impeachment deposition that she could not recall a briefing about issues relating to Burisma. In addition, according to news reports, other State Department documents show that the alleged whistleblower, notice he gets around it because he doesn't use the guy's name, but we all know who it is, right? His first name's Eric, and who shared the Democrats' partisan impeachment inquiry, also played a role in facilitating the Obama-Biden administration's interactions with the Ukrainian government relating to Burisma and Hunter Biden. These documents reportedly detail how the, quote, whistleblower, as a National Security Council detailee, hosted a White House meeting that took place with Ukrainian prosecutors in January 2016 regarding a concern that Hunter Biden's role with Burisma could complicate a potential prosecution of the company's wrongdoing. Contemporaneous visitor logs confirm that numerous Ukrainian officials were present at the White House on the day of the meeting. The Committee on the Judiciary has historically considered impeachment-related matters, and House Resolution 660 specifically authorized the committee to handle matters related to the Democrats' partisan impeachment inquiry. In light of this new information, and in order to better understand any previous barriers to our ability to cooperate with international law enforcement efforts related to Burisma, I respectfully request the following materials. And so he's trying to get these documents from the State Department that have to do with Burisma and Hunter Biden. Should be interesting, and he's given them a date of May 28th. We'll see if that happens, but should be interesting. I don't know if, Pompeo's people are going to produce those or not, but it does seem to be that declassification of things is really in the air. So maybe the time has come and those documents will be produced. I think it should be interesting. What do you think? And so, and then there's this from Fauci's own website. Guess what? I'm not going to read it, but you can read it because we've known this all along. And so, yes, it's from his own website. So you've got to look at what he's saying now and compare it to his own website and wonder why in the world is he contradicting himself. And so the last thing I have to share with you is something a friend of mine gave me and said, "Oh, what about this? This is not good." Well, no, it's not. But hey, folks, it was put out by Hank Johnson. Now, if you don't know who Hank Johnson is, he's the one who thought if all the military members on Guam all got to one side of the island, it would tip over. And I still don't know how that military guy that was being asked the question kept a straight face, because I couldn't have. I'd have burst out laughing if it had been me. So there's a reason why I'm not in government. I wouldn't keep my opinions to myself. But anyway, that's Hank. Yeah, Hank's the one that came up with this. So I'm actually probably sure that Hank didn't come up with it, but they put his name on it to give him some recognition. It's a lot of stuff that the Democrats want that, of course, is not good. They basically want to know who all has guns and make sure that you register. Everybody has to register so we can take them when we want them. And so Anyway, I'll leave it. You can read over it if you want to, because it's not anything new. It's the same old, and I'm telling you, it's DOA. It is dead on arrival. It is not going to go anywhere. It may pass the House, but that's all the further it's going to go. I doubt if it'll even pass the House at this point. So anyway, that's what I've got for you on this one. I want to thank you for stopping by, and I'll see y'all later.